in the last stream, we were working on getting ourselves a brand new jetpack. We have this tier 3 steel jetpack here, which is coming in very useful for getting around the base nice and quickly. And between streams, I have continued working on yet more bees. I have expanded out the bee area. Previously, the area here was 3 cells deep. The area now is 5 cells deep. So essentially, we've added 8 more cells here for bees. And between streams, I've gone ahead and done a little bit more in the way of bee breeding, to where we now have some soul sand bees who are in here. We've also been breeding the soul sand bees with the civ bees, who are still getting around after the dust bees previously. And those two together produce the ghast bees, which we have in here as well. These also require soul sand, much like the soul sand bees. Around the corner, I've also done a bit more breeding between the cobblestone bee and another bee whose name I forget. The coal bee, of course. Yes, we've also been breeding the cobblestone bees with the coal bees here, and this produces lapis bees, diamond bees, and emerald bees. Unfortunately, I've yet to get a diamond bee, so the diamond box here is sadly empty, but does have a block of diamond ready to go for when we do get our first diamond bee. The emerald bee box does have, I think, at least 1, potentially 2 emerald bees in there, and then lapis is the most common from breeding the coal bee and the cobblestone bee, so we do have, I think, like 4, maybe 5 lapis bees in here. But really, chat, the big gain here is the ghast tier bee. We now have 83 ghast tiers in this draw right here, and what I've gone ahead and done between streams is I've gathered some of the coal that we have. You'll see we have over 6,000 coal right here, so I usually grab a few stacks, head on over to the Botania section, which I haven't moved yet. It is still in the same place it was previously. Of course, I do want to move this because right now it looks a little silly now that I've extended this bee area back a bit. But basically, I would come on, drop in some coal, and just let that do its thing, generate mana while I go and work on other stuff. And so now we do have a decent amount of mana ready to go here. We have 3/4 of a mana pool worth of mana. The reason this is going to be useful for us is twofold. One of the things that I do want to work on in today's stream is I would like to start working through the immersive engineering questline. I'm hopefully going to get a coke oven, we're hopefully going to get an engineer's workbench, and then we're going to tie all of that together with the metal press here to allow us to start making some gears and some plates, which in turn is going to allow us to start to make some more advanced machines like the disillusion chamber here, which does require a gear, which you have to make through the metal press. But essentially, if we're going to make that metal press, we do need leather, which of course right now we are making through the mana pool with rotten flesh. On top of that, we also do want to get the ender bee at some point fairly soon to allow us to get ender pearls more easily. And if we're going to use the ender bee, we do have to have an ender ingot block for that ender bee to pollinate on. And the ender ingot block is made from ender ingots, which are made from iron and ender pearls. So we need at least 9 ender pearls before we can actually start making more ender pearls, much like with the blaze rods before it. Now, it does show in JEI that in order to turn a ghast tier into an ender pearl, you need like a full 1/4 mana pool worth of mana to make this happen. I think much like with the pity machine frame before it, I don't think it's quite going to require as much mana as it looks like. Right now we have just over 3/4 of a mana pool worth of mana. If we drop a ghast tier in there, we get 1 ender pearl, and you'll see it used almost none of the mana in that mana pool there. So I think, chat, we might actually, if we grab like 8 more ghast tiers here, just be able to make 8 more ender pearls. Yeah. And we still have over half a mana pool worth of mana left, which is pretty nice. And so if we quickly head on back over here and grab ourselves 9 iron, we should in turn be able to craft those together into those ender iron ingots. Craft those up into a block of ender iron. And then now, if we breed together a pigman bee and a cobblestone bee, we are 100% guaranteed to get our first enderman bee. So let's go ahead and allocate one of these new rooms here to enderman bees. I guess we might as well go with this one because it's free and available. Let me quickly see if we don't have a spare hive lying around. I think we should have at least one over in here. We do. Perfect. So for now, we'll put this down right about there. We'll drop the tier 1 hive right about there. And then let's see if we can't get the cobble bees and the pigman bees in the same room. So we'll take our cobblestone bees and drop them all down in here. And then one at a time, we can breed these guys with these guys, glowstone for the pigmen bees, with cobblestone for the cobblestone bees. And look at that, we got our first ender bees. Now they are going to take a little bit of time to grow up, 20 minutes to be specific, but they do still produce ender pearls in that time. And of course, once we get at least 2 fully grown enderman bees, we can of course then breed those together with some of the ender pearls that we're going to get from those baby enderman bees and use those to get even more enderman bees going forward. And much like with all of our other bees, we can kind of exponentially increase the number of enderman bees that we have. So I'll drop all these guys down, and they're going to slowly but surely make us some ender pearls. And while we wait for those guys to grow up, I guess we can start looking at a little bit of immersive engineering. So let's go and tick the box for the first quest there. And then, although we have already got a blast furnace, we don't currently have a coke oven. And given that we are going to need some creosote oil today, we're definitely going to have to make a coke oven. Thankfully, the coke oven is fairly easy to make. It's made with 4 clay, 4 bricks, and 1 sandstone per 3 blocks. Much like with the blast furnace, it is a 27 block structure, so 3 by 3 by 3. And I have gone ahead and done a little bit of clay smelting between streams to where we have 20 in here. We should also hopefully have a little bit of clay lying around. And of course, we do have a sand bee producing sand. So hopefully, if we craft up some sandstone, stick that in the middle, put the bricks in the middle and the clay in the corners, we can get ourselves some coke brick. And once we have 27, which we're very close to having, we need 1 more clay, which again, I think we should have somewhere. I have done a bit of base reorganizing between streams, as you have probably already noticed. And that needs to be sandstone, Isaac, not sand. There we go. Namely, I've moved the witch water up to here. I used another one of our ancient spores to make some more mycelium and moved this barrel upstairs. I made a second sink. The old sink is still down where it was previously. It's over there. And I've also added a new barrel for water. So whenever we need to make clay or soul sand, we can just do that up here without having to fly down to the lower level. Speaking of the lower level, I have made it a little bit bigger than it was previously, mostly to fit in with the slightly bigger platform above it. Of course, when I extended out the bee box, I also made the platform a bit bigger. And I've also made room right here for our coke oven. So it's exactly the same as the blast furnace. With the engineer's hammer, you right-click at the front, and there we go, we have a coke oven. And with the coke oven, what we can do is we can grab some of our 6,000 coal that we have. Preferably a stack would be ideal. And we can drop that into the coke oven. And what it's going to do is it's going to slowly but surely transform the regular coal into coal coke. And as a byproduct, we're also going to get some creosote oil. The creosote oil we can use in combination with wooden planks to make treated wooden planks. And then from there, we can use those to make an engineer's workbench. The reason we need the engineer's workbench is in order to use the metal press, you have to have presses to put into the metal press. You'll see across the middle here, there are quite a few. The main ones that we're going to be using are the plate metal press and the gear metal press. Both of these are made in the engineer's workbench with steel and an engineer's hammer with specific blueprints. So we are going to have to get those in order to actually use the metal press, and that's why we need the creosote here. While we wait for this to generate creosote, though, we can look at actually getting everything that we need in order to make the metal press here. We need 2 steel scaffolding, which is actually easy enough. It's 3 steel and 3 steel rods. These are made, again, from yet more steel. We then also need 1 redstone engineering block, which we make with iron, redstone, and copper. We need 1 heavy engineering block, which is made with steel, steel mechanical components, and electrum. The steel mechanical components are steel and copper, again. We need a piston, and we need 2 conveyor belts, which we can make with leather, iron, and redstone. The only difficult part about the recipe here, or about any of these recipes, is going to be the electrum, because right now we don't have a way of making electrum. I think it's possible that we could craft electrum blend, by breaking down gold and silver, and actually that's probably the easiest way for us to do it. However, we are going to need to get this alloy smelter at some point, because we also need the alloy smelter to make black iron, which is something we're also going to want to get if we're going to get into mods like Applied Energistics and Refined Storage. So just looking ahead a little bit, the alloy smelter here is made with yet more bricks and yet more sandstone, and this is going to allow us to smelt together gold and silver to actually make electrum ingots. So Let me quickly get a little bit more clay. And let's begin smelting that down over here. So we have the bricks required to make the kiln in a second here. But while we wait for that to happen, we can temporarily at least make grit, I believe, or make electrum, I believe, by grabbing a gold ore and a silver ore, which I assume we have. We do. Crafting those down with our ore crushing hammer to get silver grit and gold grit, and then crafting those together to get electrum grit, which we can then smelt up in a different furnace to get the electrum ingots that we need. So that is our electrum. Let's also grab the bricks here and again get just a little bit more sandstone. That's going to allow us to craft everything required for the kiln brick here. And I believe we need 8 in total. So we are going to need to get actually 4 more sand. Like so. And I think from there, much like with the blast furnace and the coke oven, all we have to do is put this guy down. This one is a 2x2. Like this, and then right click with the engineer's hammer. And boom, we get a nice, tiny alloy kiln. And just to get ahead of the curve again a little bit, I think what I might do is I might look at getting some black iron here. I think there's a quest a little further up in the quest book. Oh, it's right here, chat. Look at that. Yeah, so this quest here opens up extended crafting. So just to get a little ahead, I think we will craft up some black iron ingots, which are made with black dye and iron ingots. I think we'll try and get a stack of both of those and throw those in the alloy kiln here, just to get those cooking, because the alloy kiln is a little slow. And thankfully, we do have almost 1,000 iron, and then, of course, as much black dye as we like from Mystical Black Petals. So that is a stack of black dye. We'll also go ahead and grab, I guess, a stack of coal. Chat also has pointed out that it's actually more efficient to use coal blocks in the coke oven if you're trying to get creosote specifically, because 1 coal in the coke oven produces 500 millibuckets, whereas 1 block of coal in the coke oven produces 5,000 millibuckets. And given that a block of coal is 9 coal, normally with 9 coal you'd get 4,500 millibuckets, so you actually get an extra 500 millibuckets of creosote by first crafting your coal into block form. So it's probably worth getting a couple of blocks of coal. Here again, we've got a few thousand, so not really something we have to worry about too much, and we can just go ahead and throw that in like so. And it's probably worth also looking, and also let's put coal in there, and getting a tank to actually store the creosote. Our black iron is going, which is perfect. I think we should have a spare quantum tank lying around, because I did do some reorganizing here as well between streams to try and make things just a little bit cleaner. We still have the same setup with the melting chamber and the solidification chamber for honey that we've been using before. We have the same setup with the energizing orb, and we have the exact same setup for making plastic with the fluid extractor and the latex processing unit. However, we have now fully emptied all of the latex out of the quantum tank, and so yes, we do have 1 spare quantum tank in this crate here, and I'm sure we should also have some spare fluid cable lying around. We do indeed, and so we can use that to get a bit of a buffer for our creosote. If we just do something like this and extract. No? Okay, so after a little bit of brainstorming with the Twitch chat, we have a setup here that does work. We have put a bucket into the input slot, so normally you can put a bucket in and a full bucket of creosote will appear here and take creosote out of the internal tank of the coke oven. Essentially what we've done is we have an item cable pulling the full bucket of creosote out into the quantum tank, which puts it in this slot here. It then deposits the creosote oil, drops it down into the bottom slot, and then takes that that empty bucket back into the coke oven for it to be filled up again, and then that cycles around over and over and over again. So this does work. For whatever reason, we can't seem to pipe the fluid out of the coke oven directly, but we can pipe the bucket in and out with these item cables. So this does work, but it is a little janky. So there was a slight hitch with this system, because this pipe here does pull out the final block of coal coke. Thankfully, the block of coal coke does kind of pass straight through the quantum tank, so it goes in here and then just out here. And so if we put down a drawer here, it stops that block of coal coke getting stuck in this pipe, because previously the bucket was getting stuck in here because there was a block of coal coke in here, which was stopping everything moving around. But if we just go ahead and lock this up here, there should now always be a place for coal coke to go, at least until we get, 2,048 blocks of coal coke, which I don't see happening anytime soon. So for the time being, this setup should work just fine and should continue to produce creosote for us. Now that that's taken care of, chat, let's pivot back over, shall we, to the metal press. We should have some black iron over here. We do. Beautiful. We'll hold that for a little later on down the line. That should have unlocked this quest line down here. It has indeed. So we can start working towards getting the machine casing, which is required for getting into refined storage, which is hopefully going to mean that we can get rid of the kind of storage crate / crafting table setup that we have here once and for all, and hopefully connect all of our storage and all of our storage drawers together under one interface. But let's not get too far ahead of ourselves. That's not the plan for today's stream. For now, I want to get the metal press here. So as mentioned before, most of this stuff really not too bad. A lot of it is just steel. We are also going to need some iron. We're going to need a little bit of wood, as well as a little bit of cobblestone. But that should be mostly everything. So steel scaffolding, we need 2 of these. Thankfully, they are made in sets of 6. Boom and boom. We need 1 redstone engineering block, which I believe are made in sets of 2. They are not, but that would have been nice. For this, we are going to need some copper, which right now we have not smelted. Like, we've actually not smelted, I don't think, any copper so far in the series, but we do thankfully have a good amount of copper, and so I can go ahead and start smelting that up over in here. We can then craft up a few blocks of iron, and that should be the redstone engineering block taken care of. As for the heavy engineering block, did we need 2 of these? Nope, just the 1. That is made with 4 blocks of steel, 4 steel mechanical components, and 1 electrum ingot. Now, the steel blocks, nice and easy. 1, 2, 3, 4. The electrum we already have. As for the steel mechanical components, you can make these in a regular crafting table, but you can also make them in the engineer's workbench. And I think there is a quest for us to hand in both lots of blueprints. The 2 blueprints that it wants us to hand in are the crafting components blueprint and the metal press molds blueprint. So given there is a quest for this, I feel like we might as well go this route. Essentially, looking at the heavy engineering block, we can make the crafting components more efficiently if we use the engineer's workbench, because in a regular crafting table, it requires 4 steel and 1 copper to make 1 steel mechanical component, whereas in the engineer's workbench, it is just 2 steel and 1 copper ingot to make that same steel mechanical component, thus of course making it half as expensive to make. And given that we do have to make the engineer's workbench either way, it seems like we might as well. So in order to make the engineer's workbench, we need 1 treated wood fence, which is 4 treated wood planks and 2 treated wood sticks, which we of course make with treated wood planks. We need some treated wood slabs, an iron ingot, and then an engineer's crafting table, which is, you guessed it, more treated wood and a regular crafting table. So essentially, chat, all we have to do here is, I guess for now, we'll make a new crafting table just to make my life a little easier. We can take 1 of our buckets. We can head on over to our coke oven. We do now have, I think, 8 buckets, was it? Yeah, we had 8 buckets of creosote. So if we go and drop that in the middle of the crafting table and surround it with oak wood, we get 8 treated wooden planks per bucket of creosote. So we do have the ability here to make a stack of treated wooden planks if we so wish. Beautiful. And from there, that should be pretty much everything for the engineer's workbench here. Let me clear my inventory out just a little bit. We've got a lot of stuff sitting in here. We can put basically everything into these crates because, of course, we can still craft with those using the crafting station here. So, engineer's workbench. So, slabs. We'll also make sticks. We'll make the fence. We'll make a crafting table. We'll upgrade that to an engineer's crafting table. And then hopefully that's basically everything for the engineer's workbench. It is. Nice. And I guess for now we can put this down maybe right about here. And so in order to be able to use this to make crafting components, we have to get the crafting component blueprint, which is made with 3 paper, 3 lapis, and then 1 iron ingot, aluminum ingot, and copper ingot. I do think we should have some aluminum ore in here. I'm pretty sure that bauxite ore is aluminum. It is. Nice. And so that should be basically everything, right? We have copper over here. Paper we can make, of course, from our sugarcane, and lapis we are now getting from our new lapis bees. So let's get some paper. Let's craft that paper up with some lapis, and then let's craft that up with copper, aluminum, and iron. And of course, the lapis does need to be in the form of blue dye, Isaac, you fool. And there we go. So if we put that in over here, you'll see on the right all of the components we can make using this blueprint. And what we can do now is we can click on the steel mechanical component, just as soon as we put in some copper and some steel, and we can now make these at that cheaper rate, thus allowing us to make the heavy engineering block with a little bit less steel. And so at that point, I think the only thing we're missing is the piston and the 2 conveyor belts. The piston should be very easy for us to make. It is. And then the conveyor belt is just missing some leather. Yeah, we need 3 leather in total. Right now, do we have 3 rotten flesh lying around? We do. We have 10. So we'll take 3 of those. We'll quickly head on over to the mana pool. 1, 2, 3. Boom. Boom. And that should be pretty much everything now for the multi-block. All we have to do is actually make it, which is handily shown to us in the book here. You'll see we put the redstone engineering block at the bottom. You put the 2 steel scaffolding either side, the piston above that, the heavy engineering block above that, and then the 2 conveyor belts either side of the piston. We might as well build this down on our lower level, given that that is where our power currently resides. And I think I'll probably put it like right about here. So let's do redstone engineering block at the bottom, piston above that, steel scaffolding either side, heavy engineering block at the top, and then conveyor belts here and here. And at that point, if we right click with the engineer's hammer on the piston, I think it does have to be facing down, which is easier said than done. Let's try this, then right click, and there we go. We have the metal press. So now we have the metal press here. We can now start to make things like gears and plates. Specifically, if we look ahead at the dissolution chamber here from Industrial Foregoing, this requires a diamond gear. So if we're going to make this, we do require 4 diamonds, which right now we don't have. However, there is a diamond block in the floor here that's currently not doing anything because there are no bees in that section. So we can just grab that and craft it down, and we can use those to make the diamond gear required for the dissolution chamber. But in order to actually use the metal press, as I mentioned earlier, we are going to need the specific molds required. And that is where the metal press mold blueprint comes in. Made in basically the same way as the previous blueprint for the engineer's workbench. We need more paper, we need more blue dye. This time it's just 1 iron ingot. Like so. We can then once again place that in over here. And then now we can actually make some of these presses. For example, if we want to make the gear press, we need 3 steel plates and 1 engineer's wire cutter. And if we're going to get that, we need steel plates, which are made in and of themselves in the metal press. So we are going to have to start, I guess, with the plate mold here. And that is made with a block of steel and the engineer's hammer. So if we go and grab 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 steel, craft that into a block, drop that in with the engineer's hammer, then we should be able to craft the mold press. From there, let's grab 4 more steel, and we're going to take that down to the metal press. Now, we can automate the metal press in the future with hoppers. For now, though, I'm fairly certain that we can just drop the steel kind of directly onto this side of the conveyor belt. However, we do first have to put the press mold plate up here, like so, just right click. And then we do also have to provide the engineering block here with some kind of power. You'll see up at the top, right now it says 0 redstone flux. Power does have to be inserted from the top right there. And that does mean that we are going to have to get power from our thermo generator over here over to the metal press. Although what we could do if we want to be a little bit cheeky here is we could just put the magmator up here for the time being and then grab a bucket of lava from our quantum tank, drop that in like so, and that would temporarily at least fill this guy up with a little bit of juice, allowing us to drop on 1, 2, 3, 4 steel ingots. And slowly but surely, each one of those steel ingots is going to be stamped into a steel plate and dropped off at the end here. As I mentioned before, you can put a hopper on this side, and you can also put a chest on this side to more easily automate that for the future. For now, though, that should be basically everything that we need for the gear mold. Let's combine those up with the steel plates in here, get ourselves the gear press, and then now if we head back, we should be able to do the exact same thing. If we shift right click here, we could take the plate mold off, and then right click to apply the gear mold, drop on 4 diamonds, and boom, we get a diamond gear. Nice. So going forward, we're probably going to use this quite a bit. Like I mentioned before, as we get into more advanced machines, a lot of them do require plates and gears, and so we are going to have to use that quite a bit. For now, though, one of the last things that I want to do in today's stream is I want to look at getting maybe our first machine casing here, but at the very least, I want to try and get a basic crafting table. So the basic crafting table here is made with basic components, a basic catalyst, 1 black iron slate, a block of iron, and then 2 crafting tables. We might as well start up at the top. A basic component is made with 2 iron ingots, 1 black iron slate, which we make using the metal press, and then 1 luminescence, which is made with glowstone, gunpowder, and redstone. Now, at the moment, we don't really have that much gunpowder. We do have a little bit, and I will put some of these on here, by the way, just to get... actually, first of all, let's swap this for this. And also, I might as well put a chest on there. To make life easier, we'll do chest here, hopper here. I should have just done that from the start, but now we can, if we want, just put the black iron in like so, and that should slowly but surely produces a lot of that black iron slate there, and I'm pretty sure that a lot of these recipes require, the black iron in slate form, so we'll keep half a stack in ingot form just in case, but we'll turn most of those into black iron slates. Other than that, as I was saying, we are a little low on gunpowder. However, because we did do quite a bit of dust bee and civ bee breeding when we were trying to get redstone, we do have 3 creeper bees ready to go here. What do creeper bees need in order to pollinate? They need a gunpowder stack, which is made from 9 gunpowder, which I think we should have. We do. So we'll craft up 1 full stack of gunpowder, and then I think we have at least 1 more spare pod. This one is used for ender bees, which are working now. They do need a wireless redstone receiver though, so that's why they're not currently actually producing any combs. But over here, we can drop the creeper bees in this room. I don't know if you have to put the hive down first, but I'm going to put the hive down first just because that's what I've been doing up until now, and it seems to have been working. I don't want to put the bees down without a hive, just in case they attach to one of the other nearby hives, which could cause issues. So let's do this, and then 1, 2, and 3. And much like with the enderpearl bees, hopefully these are going to slowly but surely start producing gunpowder or creeper combs, which are then going to be turned into gunpowder and stored over in our storage drawers, and thus allowing us to make a lot more of the luminescence, because we do require luminescence for all of the crafts in this quest tree here. For now, though, I think we should be able to potentially make at least 1 basic crafting component. Whether or not we're going to be able to make the basic auto crafting table is a different question, though. Luminescence. Do we have what it takes to make this? We do. We're just missing some redstone. Boom. And actually, we might be good here, chat. I'll take 16 for now, and we'll come back to the rest in a minute. We'll start, of course, with the basic crafting component. So let's get a few of these. We need 4 for the basic crafting table, but then we also need a basic catalyst, which is 4 more of them. So we'll do that, and then we'll get another 4 of these. And then at that point, I think we're basically there, right? Yeah, we should have, I think, at that point, pretty much everything required to make this guy. We're just missing the block of iron and then 2 regular crafting tables. By the way, this one here is the basic auto crafting table. The one we're making is the basic crafting table. And there we go. Nice. So this is, I think, just a normal shape-sized crafting table. It is. But the idea for this mod is that as we go up, we're going to get larger and larger crafting tables. For example, if we are going to get into refined storage, we're going to have to get a controller from refined storage, and this recipe is made in the advanced crafting table, which is a 5x5 crafting table, so it can hold 25 items at once. Also, if we're going to go, right to the end of the pack and get some of the creative items, these are made in the largest crafting table, the ultimate crafting table, which is a 9x9 and can hold up to 81 different items, all for a single craft. For now, though, with the basic crafting table here, we can now begin to make things like the machine casing here, which is made in the basic crafting table with 4 steel plates, 4 quartz enriched iron, and 1 stone. The quartz enriched iron we can either get from a quartz enriched iron B, or we can get it through the alloy kiln with iron and nether quartz. I'm going to assume that the quartz enriched iron B requires a block of quartz enriched iron. Yeah, in order to actually work, so we are going to have to get our first block of quartz enriched iron through the kiln, and then from there we can get more through the Bs if we so wish. But yeah, I think next time, chat, we're going to come back. We're going to look at working towards getting into refined storage here. The recipes for refined storage have been tweaked a fair bit, and now mostly require you to go through Applied Energistics to get there. So we do have to get some of the pure Fluix crystals here from Applied Energistics, and we also have to make our advanced processes in the Inscriber from Applied Energistics as well. All right, so I was going to ramp up the stream there. However, the Twitch chat has convinced me that if we're going to try and get into refined storage in one of the next few streams, we should, before we wrap up today, start looking at getting some pure Fluix crystals, because the pure Fluix crystals here have to be grown. You make these by dropping a Fluix seed made from Fluix dust and sand into a puddle of water, and then that will grow slowly but surely into a pure Fluix crystal. Now, normally, what you would do is you would eat some honey apples to make sure that you're not hungry. You would grab some sand, some Fluix dust, which we were getting through sifting, I think, regular dust. Yeah, regular dust has a chance of dropping Fluix dust, so we have a bit of that. Normally, you would craft these up, take the seeds, and then drop those into a pool of water and wait. Normally, you could speed this up using crystal growth accelerators. These guys right here. Normally, the way this works is you would use something like an energy acceptor to transfer the redstone flux that we're generating downstairs into AE, which is Applied Energistics unit of energy, and which is required for the crystal growth accelerator to work, and to speed up the rate at which the Fluix seeds grow. Unfortunately, the energy acceptor is not in the pack, or has been disabled in the pack, or is not in the mod. For whatever reason, we can't craft the energy acceptor, and so the only way to get the Fluix seeds to grow into Fluix crystals, outside of getting into Mechanism, which we can't do just yet because we first have to go through Blood Magic and Astral Sorcery, and so if we want to get into Refined Storage before we get into Astral Sorcery, Mechanism, and Blood Magic, we have to grow the Fluix seeds the old-fashioned way, and that means dropping these into a puddle of water without any crystal growth accelerators, which means the Fluix seeds are going to take 12 hours to transform from where they are now into a fully grown pure Fluix crystal, which is a very long time. Thankfully, we do have our base chunk loaded, or almost all of it. Let me go and chunk load the bottom half here. But essentially, if we get a bucket of water, and we set up just a little pond, I guess we'll do it over here for now. I also didn't talk about it, but I have moved my Pure Daisy and my Petal Apothecary over to here, and I did make these 2 new platforms between streams, which are just 2 new grass spaces. I'll probably end up moving the Botania setup from back there over to here, but for now, let's just go ahead and put down a little puddle over here. By puddle, it basically just means a 1 block of water, like so. And if we go ahead and drop those in 12 hours, we should come back to pure Fluix crystals. Thankfully, those don't despawn, so it should stay there basically forever until we come and pick it up. And so hopefully, before we come back for the next stream, those will grow up. Next time, we can come back and we can craft up the Refined Storage controller here. Everything else here doesn't seem too bad. We are going to have to get into the Inscriber, but the Inscriber, again, not going to be a problem. We can make the regular Fluix crystals with nether quartz, redstone, and charged Certus quartz, all of which we should be able to get without having to wait 12 hours and without having to go through Blood Magic and Astral Sorcery. But we probably will also start looking at getting into Astral Sorcery very soon here. It really shouldn't be too difficult for us to get through to a Starlight Crafting Altar, thus allowing us to get into Blood Magic, followed by Mechanism, and then from there we can make more things from Refined Storage and Applied Energistics without having to wait quite so long. One last thing that I would like to do before we wrap up for today, though, is I would like to quickly make a mana tablet from Botania, because one of the main reasons that I've not moved my Botania setup is that we have quite a bit of mana in our mana pool. now, and we have even more because we still have coal being fed in, and this is refilled over the course of today's stream. But essentially, the mana tablet is a pretty nifty item that's going to allow us to collect all of the mana in that mana pool and move it to a different mana pool, ideally one that's kind of over in this area here, not all the way at the back of the base in a very janky location. Essentially, with the mana tablet, if you go ahead and drop it in the mana pool, by default, I believe the pool is set up to take mana from the mana tablet and put it in the mana pool. You can see the blue arrow there is going from the mana tablet into the mana pool, but if you shift or right click on the mana pool, it changes the direction, and now the mana is being moved from the mana pool over into the mana tablet. And so now, just as soon as this fills up, and I believe the tablet can hold 1 mana pool's worth of mana, so we should be able to take all of the mana here, store it in the mana pool, pick the mana pool up, take it over to its new resting place, bring everything else with it, and then put the mana back down again for use, however we like, which is going to make moving all of this much, much easier. Between streams, I think I will continue, of course, doing even more bee breeding. I'll try and get some more ghast bees, maybe a few more of the soul sand bees. I will breed together a couple of the enderman bees and also set up some more of the wireless redstone receivers for the enderman bees as well, so that they can start producing combs that we can actually use. It looks like, unfortunately, I was incorrect. The mana tablet can hold half a mana pool worth of mana. Again, not a huge deal. We can go ahead and make a second mana pool. And for now, just kind of use this as a place to hold some mana while we move all the other mana over. But yeah, I'll do some more enderman breeding. I'll do some more ender bee breeding. We'll get those going. And we'll start working, I guess, slowly but surely towards getting to that wither bee, which is definitely also something I want to get done sooner rather than later. If we can get the wither bee, we are going to have to get a block of nether stars. So 9 nether stars in total before we can actually use the wither bee to get nether stars itself. I think ideally we want to get the wither skeleton bee. This guy requires 1 wither-proof block, which does require 1 wither skeleton. So we are going to have to go through to the nether, get 1 wither skeleton skull the old-fashioned way, bring that back. We can use that to make the wither-proof block, at which point we can then get infinite wither skeleton skulls from the wither skeleton bee, producing wither skeleton combs, of course. And then at that point, we can use that to spawn withers. I've been told by the Twitch chat we can kind of cheese it a little bit if we put the wither underneath this bedrock here. If we spawn it under here, apparently we can kill it fairly easily. We'll have to give that a try and see if that does actually work. I'm not going to worry about the fact that that guy is not triggering on me. That is completely fine. So we'll probably try that fairly soon as well, because that's going to allow us to get into apiaries, which are going to allow us to increase the amount of resources that we produce from our bees, whilst simultaneously reducing the number of bees that we have overall, which should help both from a management standpoint, but also from a server lag standpoint, because otherwise things can get a little laggy, especially when you have too many people playing with too many bees. But for now, guys, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up today's stream there.